Let's get you more perspective on BRICS and BRICS Plus. I'm joined live from our Johannesburg studio by Kevin Lings. He's an economist at Stanlib Asset Management. Kevin, thank you for joining us. Now, China is pushing for the BRICS Plus concept to broaden the circle of friends. How will that affect South Africa as the only BRICS member on the African continent?
Look, I think it's a beneficial thing for South Africa. Obviously, we would like to see the role of BRICS expanded. We would like to see the relevancy of BRICS increased. One of the key ways to do that is obviously increase the membership. And I think as more members join, then it becomes a more powerful force in terms of trying to uplift emerging economies. There's no doubt that more effort has to be made to bridge the gap between developed economies and emerging market countries. And I think that the BRICS can do that. But in order to do that, you need finance and you need probably a greater involvement in the world economy. So I think expanding the membership would only help all the existing members.
And how important is the BRICS grouping when it comes to global development agendas?
Look, I think that it's critical. There's no doubt when we look at many of the emerging markets, most of them are in desperate need of additional infrastructure development. Infrastructure development is really a way of kickstarting many economies, trying to get more private sector investment, trying to obviously then encourage skills development and employment. So I think if the BRICS were to focus on trying to lift two things simultaneously. One is let's try and get infrastructure more developed in key emerging markets, and then those countries would link to their neighboring countries more easily, and also try and improve global trade. Since the financial crisis, we have entered an era of increased global trade protection. And I think that's hurt global trade generally and hurt the world economy. So anything that can integrate the countries more effectively, I think would help to lift world growth and therefore benefit many smaller countries, particularly the smaller emerging economies.
But how critical are cultural and people-to-people exchanges when it comes to fostering understanding between the various BRICS nations?
Look, I think that's critical. You can't just simply sit in one country and think that you can trade at a distance and not have any sort of direct contact with that country and then prosper. It's not going to work. So you have to start to have an integration of people across countries, understand each people's culture, their particular concerns, their particular way of conducting business. And I think as you build up that knowledge base, it becomes much more easier to do business, to do trade. We've been concerned that the world has become more and more isolated from one another since the financial crisis. And some of the politics going on in some of the major economies, if I look at Brexit, it tends to try and do that even more. From our perspective, that's hurtful for the world economy and for global development. So the more people can interact with one another face to face, I think that just leads to greater prosperity and in effect more calmness within the world economy and less anxiety between nations.
Great insights. Kevin Lings, we appreciate your time. Thank you.